I think it would be helpful if I show you a couple principles that we apply to considering trees. One of them will be in the structure of the trees, and then the second one will be lights, and then specifically reflected lights. Let's look first at the use of just the structure of the trees. I have a round brush, and I'm going to go up to the canvas where I've already put burnt umber on as a straight tree. Let's go ahead with a branch, and when I put the branch on, just a slight little wavering will show the grace that we desire. Over on this side, I'm going to do a wrong one and a right one. This one, we just come down straight like that. And you can see the difference between grace and non-grace. And then the most subtle little thing that will help you at the base of the tree, at where it goes into the ground. Look at this one. It comes down straight, touches right in there, like a telephone post. Now on this one, we have it coming down, and then to have it cling in the tree, into the ground rather, we'll just have it just taper a little bit like that. The smallest suggestion. It makes me think of when a person does a sculpture sometimes, they'll do a head, and then they have just the smallest feeling, just the narrowest little feeling, looking like a collar or a start of a neck, and how much better that is, and then just cut right off. So the same thing happens here. Okay, let's go with the idea of putting some highlights on both of them, and then we'll put reflected light on, which is our main reason for doing this little project. Okay, I'll have the light coming from the left, so I'll wipe a little bit away, and then we'll go ahead and wipe a little bit away on the branch. And now we'll put some highlights on. Again, on the left one, I'm doing it sort of as a wrong way, so we won't wipe out first. On the correct one, we're going to put the light on, and we let a little bit of the wipeout show as part of the form and character of the tree. See that wipeout that stays there? And then we'll put a little bit along this side. So that blends in rather well. Now on the other one, we'll just throw it on. We'll say, okay, you just go on right there without any wiping out. You feel like there's a little bit more form, and anytime you can have some color come through, you get a nice feeling of quality. The additional little colors breaks up that hardness and that painted look. I'll put a little highlight of yellow, ochre, and white on both of these. So we'll put that on right there. So when you put the highlight on, you don't put quite as much on because you let some of the two other colors stay. The one that we added and the one that we wiped for. When we do it wrong, yes, you have a highlight. You're going to have a lot of gleam over there. It's not going to hurt to have that strength of gleam, but the additional little subtle colors will make it so helpful and so delightful. Let's put a little bit over here. Now, the thing that will help a little bit, and what we're arriving at is, let's go ahead and put some reflected light on. When I use reflected light, I'll choose to use some alizarin crimson and white. This is going to be for two purposes. One will enhance the color slightly, and then I want to point out one other thing in just a minute. On the left tree, we won't put any reflected lights. You'll find that if you use some of this color to go next to the highlight color too that we put on earlier, that's very pretty. Okay, now let me show you what we have gained by using some of the reflected light. The reflected light breaks some of the hardness of the line. So you have some soft edges as well, and that's especially important in nature. Look as we do it on this one. See, we don't have any breaking of hard lines there. Very hard. This one, if we put just a little teeny bit of reflected light along that side, it will help. Now, what would be the colors to use for reflected light? That's up to you. You can use some of the pink. You could use some blue. You could use some gray. It depends a little bit upon the rest of the scene, what color harmony you're using, and what colors go well with the colors that are already on the tree and so on. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit more how to do a tree to make it look good.
Okay, let's talk about clouds for a moment. Clouds. If I mention clouds to you, what most of us think of are the big white billowy clouds. I think we all like those type clouds better, or they're more dramatic somehow. There's storm clouds, there's gray clouds, there's purple clouds, there's sunset clouds with the light coming from behind. But I'm going to start out with just a simple cumulus type cloud, sort of a levelish looking bottom, something kind of fluffy. The important part about clouds, when pertaining to composition in a painting, clouds can really be a nice factor. If you have a hillside you're going to paint that has a strong line, you might balance that line with the direction in your clouds. You have horizontal clouds sometimes, but again, diagonal direction creates a little bit of energy, and I use that line to kind of compose the painting or direct my eye to particular areas. So that you can make any cloud shape that you want and not be wrong, as long as it doesn't have some sort of a strange looking Mickey Mouse head or something that stands, or dog's face or flying monkey or something like that. But keeping it relatively simple, I'm going to start with sort of a gentle beginning and build it bigger and bigger and bigger. But here's some of the pitfalls. When we think of clouds and think of big rounded shapes, sometimes you have to avoid, the cotton ball looking clouds. That happens real easy. Or clouds that you can count, like 1, 2, 3. I've even seen stair steps in clouds before. But it's not something you want to paint. You know what I'm talking about. Clouds are fun to paint. They kind of put you in a daydreaming type mood and make you use your imagination a little bit. It's fun to pick out shapes in clouds. So let's see what we can come up with. As far as technique, I'll show you a few different kinds of brushes. This is a 1-inch brush. I'm going to load it up really well, sharpen it, plenty of paint. I probably put an inch of paint in this brush. Sharpen like this. Sort of a chisel edge. That gives me a little bit of control. Now, I thoroughly believe, and I know, and I can prove it, you can use anything to paint a cloud with, as long as you don't let that brush influence your cloud. That brush is square. I don't want to paint square clouds. Square clouds don't look quite natural. So I'm going to use the side of it. If I use the side of this brush, I can make a little dot. I can make a bigger rounded blob. I don't have to use the square shape like stepping stones or blocks. So loading the brush up really good to utilize a corner, I will start with the corner of the brush, tapping up and down, starting with the beginning. The number one factor, the first factor to think of in clouds is the top shape, the silhouette. Then we worry about the middle area and the bottom. But the top shape is most important. I don't have to think about where the light's coming from yet. But blot, blot, blot. Notice me kind of turning and rotating my wrist a little bit or swinging my elbow. And off the top of the canvas, don't forget that nature does continue on. So don't be afraid to go off the canvas a little bit. Now, sometimes I consider where the light's coming from when I build up that top shape. The light's coming from the left, then I try to make sure I have a little bit of extra white right on the edge, a little extra straight white. I don't mind. You're going to say, oh, my brush is turning blue, picking up sky color. That's great. That gives us a value that we really need. The middle value is underneath, and we'll be playing more with that in a moment. First, it should look like sort of a jet stream. It's not too straight, but a top edge is the big important number one factor. Here's some examples. What if I had two shapes like this? That kind of looked alike. A pair of something, that's something that kind of catches my attention a little bit. I might wipe, if I saw that or accidentally created that, I'd just wipe my brush off, pick up a little extra white, put a little extra fluff on one of these shapes. Some clouds get bigger and bigger and bigger, as trees, as rocks do, and everything else does as we correct them. But avoid straight lines. If you end up with too many rounded shapes, even if they don't look alike, add a little fluff here and a little fluff there. If you can count your little fluffy edges, though, that's another factor that you might want to avoid. Avoid anything that you can count. Any human tendency to make straight lines, triangles, squares, even too much of a rounded shape. There's an example of one cloud. Now, after I create the top shape, get it adjusted the way I want it with a little bit of white on the top edge, brightness on the top edge. Then I think about the middle. I wipe off my brush a little bit, as you can see I'm doing throughout the cloud, picking up a little more white. going to start with the create a middle value, which I don't have to work at it. It's already happening. But a little more paint in the brush. I'm going to put a little bit of body underneath this cloud. Body, fullness. I start underneath the same way, and I tap under the top shape and back out. Notice I'm raising and lowering my elbow. Tapping in and out. Letting some of the darker of the sky show through. And sort of stretch out the beginning a little bit. Let it taper away and wisp away to nothing. Sort of a two-step type thing happening here. I've mushed into sort of middle value sky color. Then if I need to go any further, if I end up with sort of a definite bottom edge there, which is not too uncommon, I'm putting it in intentionally. If I end up with too much of a bottom edge, say that bottom edge was as bright as the top, then I might just say, okay, keep tapping a little bit. So create the top, tap in the middle, and then keep going, not even adding paint, until you basically lose the bottom, like this. Taper it out, lose it, till the bottom is not near as distinct as the top. That gives me rolling values in my cloud. Gives it a lot of shape and a lot of body. Gives it dimension. We haven't talked about dimension too much, but everything you paint, you need at least 3 values. I quite often will use 5 or 6 in the advanced stages, but 3 values are very important. Now, what if I overwork this? Say I take this 1-inch brush and I say, oh, I can do better than that. I can do better than this. Let me not overwork. Let me work it some more, and all of a sudden, it got flat again. Big flat space. But fortunately, I mushed it in and mashed it into a middle value. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be a fine cloud. I can show you some examples of it. I do that very thing sometimes. But wiping the brush out, I can put more brightness back in here. I can start from a top edge and roll it down into the cloud, create another movement on the side. I can create more values. Remember what I said as far as you need at least 3 values showing. If I put another sort of a cloud on the side of this cloud and kind of tap it down into the body, it gives me more movements. Now, granted, I've put a little more paint there than I needed, but you might do the very same thing. So now you could even pick it back off. You could even put your darks back in there. A little bit of sky color. I'm picking up a little bit of that sky blue. Watch what you can do with this. Watch this again. I'm going to mess this up again. Now, don't do this on purpose, but I flattened that one area out. It doesn't look too bad. But with a little bit of shadow, the darker value, which is the sky color, pick a little bit of that up. Watch me do the opposite side. The left side is the highlight side. What if I want to put a shadow side in here? Define a loose-looking, hanging out, coming down, dipping up and down. Shadow side, tap it into the middle again. How about another little shadow side? Now, it all helps to create dimension, right? So I have light values, a lot of middle values, and some dark values too. Now, no matter how you make the clouds, I end up, after the top and the body and the blended bottom, I will end up with a hockey and start at the bottom and real lightly soften it out. Soften out the middles, poke at them just a little bit. If you get a lump of color that you can't get rid of, just blot it and wipe it off, blot it and wipe it off just a little bit. Now, poking around in the middle, but then the top, treat it a little more carefully. I'm going to pull the top down into itself. Pulling under and down, but always pulling in. If you pull out, you get little hairs, looks like a hairy cloud. After you flatten the paint by pulling it in, then you can kind of dust over it and get rid of the streaks just a little bit. Remember in the beginning I said you can make a cloud with any kind of brush. Now, dear Bill Alexander, he uses a fan brush a lot. He spins and twists and pokes and turns. A little more paint in the brush here. But he comes up with the same thing. He creates a top shape. He lets middle values just kind of happen. And he kind of pokes out the bottoms a little bit. But you have to be real careful with the fan brush not to let its funny shape create odd little marks on your canvas. So that's why he spins it and he pokes it and he blots it and sometimes he scrubs it a little bit. But if you have the theory in mind, fluff, fluff, top, in and out, dips in and out and so on, things that you can't count, not lines, you can use any kind of a brush. But I would, even after the fan brush, I would soften out with the hockey underneath, middle, and top.
This wicker is really kind of fun to do. But there's an easy way and a hard way, and by golly, I'm going to give you the easy way today. I've been painting nearly 20 years, and this is one of my best-selling paintings is wicker. So don't let wicker be a sticker. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We'll work more on the handle after we do the background. That's good. Okay, let's get right into the basket now. We've got a red sable brush here, and we'll go right into yellow ochre. Yellow ochre and white. Make kind of a straw color, maybe just a touch of the red, sort of a straw color. And let's start right here. First of all, we got one step that we should finish this first. So using the bristle brush again, back with the same color that we used here, block in this handle. Just a motion like that. One thing you can do is since the light source is from the left, you could add a little dark back here to pull that handle around into perspective. Maybe a little bit right here, where the light would be blocking that area. Maybe a little bit behind this handle over here, just a little darker. That's it. Now let's go for the weave. Back into our yellow ochre and white, little touch of permanent red. Let's start right up here on the handle. Start about this high up with the brush fully loaded. Push straight in and release. Again, go above that and leave some of the shadow showing. Notice how you create the shadow all in one stroke. As it comes around, you automatically pick the dark up and creating the round effect. You notice right at the end, I do a little twist there, kind of twist that weave around. Just keep it going. As it gets into the shadow area up there a little bit, you can just keep it going and do 3 or 4 strokes. Then reload your brush again. If you just follow step by step as I do this, you'll see that this is a very easy way to make a basket. Okay, let's go back up here now and start right here. Do the same thing you did on this side. Same color. Leave a little room for shadow, pull it around the edge. I don't have much pressure on that brush, just using the edge of the brush. You don't have to be real steady on that. You can be real loose. A lot of weaving is not necessarily real tight and perfect, in perfection. Now let's do the back side. Start clear up here. Make a nice long weave. Overlap it. Twist it underneath again. Let it blend down into that dark. Go over top of the other stroke, back underneath again. Same way there. Isn't this fun? There's a right way and a wrong way. And I got news for you. This is the right way. All right, our first step will be to use a red sable brush. I got one right here. Let's go right into phthalo blue and yellow ochre, make kind of a pleasing olive green. Notice, I'd like you to notice how I'm loading the brush. I load the brush always this way, both sides. The purpose is to get a sharp edge on it. So let's go ahead and do a lot of foliage here. Now using the upper portion of the brush, the corner, just the corner only, touching it, twisting it, close it back up, and you got an automatic, a big tall leaf. These leaves are kind of pleasing because they flow so nice. Let's make a few of them first. Kind of get the flow of the thing. Let's go up a little higher. Now you can also, I got another hair here I got to get rid of. You start on the end the same way, turn it over, turn it back up over again and down. You're not necessarily tied to doing them this way. You can start at the bottom and go up. I'll show you one of them. Use the lower corner of the brush. Pull up, then twist down.
Now you see how far my painting is. I have sky and water. And have a deep, deep horizon. Try to aim for that. Don't make it flat. If it looks flat, then the mountain gets forward, more forward, and then it looks not normal. I have to put that mountain in from far, that has to be far away, and it comes forward again. So make it perspective right. You see, take a good look on the canvas now. What could you do? What would you do? If you live in a flat land on a farm, you sometimes, there's beautiful little trees there, you find some trees, little farmhouse, little farm around, and then a bit of a green farmland, and leave a lake up there, leave couple, whatever, and all of a sudden you have the beautiful farmland there. It doesn't matter. I only want to encourage you, and I want to load your battery with power. Let me put a mountain in. Now, how the mountain, I live there. I look at my kitchen window, beautiful mountain right in front of me. It's wonderful. So for me, it is easy to paint a mountain. And usually when you see me painting, you would say, too much mountain. But look, you can always leave that mountain out and paint that nice flat land. I will show you that too. But just because here we are to that point, I will fire in the mountain. The first time, you see here, that is my mixing table on my palette. The first time where I will mix, I use a block of white, first white, and then maybe I would say to harmonize a touch of black. See, I put a touch of black into that, touch of Prussian blue into that. See, I know roughly how much. And maybe a touch of alizarin crimson was good. Those three colors, black, Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, and then you mix that up. And then you see what the outcome will be. Can you see how I mix? Garble it all up completely again. Turn it over so this is really nicely mixed. And mix it so that it has details. You see, take a good close look on this here. It has beautiful details there. It looks like you want to eat it, like a chocolate cream. And it is so nice that you would like to eat it. And if it is so nice on the palette, it wouldn't be nice here. But before I put it on, I hold my knife on there. And I learn all of a sudden, against that dark sky, that mountain would be in a certain distance, far, far away, and I want it a bit more closer. So what I do here, I add a couple mileage into that. I put a bit more black on again, a bit more Prussian blue, and a bit more alizarin crimson. I make it a touch darker. See, I have made up my mind to a certain mileage. So it can be 30 miles, 20 miles, or 10 miles, or sometimes you're just standing on a mountain. So let's see this. Now I will put my knife on again. Yeah, that looks just roughly what I want. Do that all the time. Put your knife on and flash it a little bit, then you can see how far that mountain would be. And I think that would be good. Cover up what you don't like on that canvas. It would be crazy if you go in and cover up the nicest part and then you have a bad painting left. See, what I usually do, I make a big decision. I would say, this is a nice look, this looks nice. Now maybe here could be a mountain peak far away there. So, all right, start off here then, that mountain peak, and then roll it in the way you think the mountain you want to see are there. See, I will make it a bit slow for you to understand, but I scrape it up. There is not much paint on. See? There's not much paint on. You hear? You hear? You paint with your ear. You hear? You hear? You paint with your ear. Isn't that wonderful? It has even a rhyme. You can all of a sudden feel that and hear it. This is not this slick on. And now put it on so this is sellable. Some mountains, they look not nice. And some mountains, they have such beautiful figures. Put the figures on you think. Maybe here would be nice, a little higher build up, and maybe there lower, or maybe here in between a little bit there. Create whatever you think it would suit you. Oh, that would be nice. And you are on and on and on. See, forget the side. Usually I put trees on and then I don't have to do it. But you see now, when you see what you see, the white is still wet, and you need some fog or mist underneath the cloud, underneath the mountain. See what I do here? I destroy the bottom because I try to mix it. What I do right now, I'm mixing on the canvas again. I use the paint already on the canvas, and I make a mist. Out of that mist, can you see what a difference all of a sudden when you have mist there? Out of the mist is a beautiful mountain coming up there. See, out of that mist, a beautiful mountain coming out there. You can cut in the mist as far as you want. See? And if you want now, you can put life into that. See? By not having so much paint on, you can put fog or clouds, low clouds. That's a building up cloud coming over the mountain. Now I will highlight that by having already the light set, because the light hits the cloud from that side, so it will hit the mountain from that side too. So I will use a touch of white and a touch of red, see, and mix yourself a kind of a off-white color there, and hit the mountain wherever you see. Look at that. And can you see how the paint breaks? Because having that thick, strong paint, you make 1,000 details with one almighty swing. Look at that. See, let it disappear in the valley. The next one. In the next mountain. And if you want now, by having a cloudy sky, it never looks good when you make it bang, bang, bang the same. See, then you get upset. You say, that is not the way it should be. What I do here in this case, I set in a bit bigger mountain. But I hate to have the same, it will not sell. I want to sell my work. See? You catch yourself sometime by doing it that way, and that's not good. See? Can you see what I mean? It is all of a sudden a different painting. Try to judge yourself that it has a nice character. And if you want now, by having cloudy skies, there's other clouds up here. That is only what you see on that canvas. The sun might be blocked by other big cloud up here, and then you can cut in shadow side. This is where the sun hits the mountain. And I will show you now other spot. I would say here, and all of a sudden that's all in the shadow. Only here is where the sun starts over again. Where the sun starts over again. See, try to see this kind of a dreaming. Have that creative power. See, and now this is what makes it nice. See, what I do here now, I use white again, touch of white, and use a bit of that mountain color and mix it lighter. See, it is lighter than that. And now I go in here with the lighter, my highlights are shadow lights. Can you see? Beautiful shadow lights. Now that means here is now sun is in the shadow. Can you see what nice painting you bring out by working with light? You are the almighty leader of light. What a power for yourself to dream so powerful. I lead the light. God give you that right. And you say, talk like God. I want light, I was light. Here is the shadow, that's in the shadow. And it is just such a beautiful painting. And there's so much power, living power in that. Funny, I like to live with that. And it's a good feeling. Good feeling. So much confidence, so much self-confidence. Here I just paddle that in on the shadow side. Here's maybe the shadow side. And that is the kind of a mountain I put in there. See? Wasn't that nice? How about we just leave it like that? It's a kind of a mountain.